I have to put him down in a week or two due to a brain tumor. He does not like to play, and he is kind of finicky about food. What can I do to make sure he feels loved in the short time he has left? Story 1. Just be with him as much as possible. Let him sleep on the bed, take him for car rides, and give him a variety of food, and I'm sure he will find something he likes. Just know once he's gone, so make sure you give him the best couple of weeks. Story 2. Take him for long off-leash walks in the forest or on the beach. Let him eat any and all people food he wants, except the poisonous stuff. Give him a spoon of cooked ground beef or bacon fat on top of his dinner. Tell him you love him and give him lots of cuddles. I'm so sorry you have to go through this. It's not easy to lose a friend. Story 3. Some good suggestions already, but none about his last moments on Earth. When the time comes, be with him, pet and talk to him. Make sure he knows he isn't alone. Story 4. If you can find a service to do it at home, hire them. Crawl into his bed with him when it's time and let him know you will always love him and give him all the love. He's a good dog. Story 5. If possible, look into in-home euthanasia. It's much nicer and more comforting for everyone involved, including your dog. They get to be in their own bed with all the normal comforting smells and people around them. You get to cry your eyes out in the privacy of your own home and don't need to drive while grieving. Story 6. Give him all the pets, sit with him, rub his ears, let him eat whatever he wants, keep talking to him, and whatever else makes him happy. Take him on extra walks or go to a new park. Also, be with him until the very last second. Story 7. For our dog's last day, we took her to the dog park, let her play with other dogs, and have a blast. Once we finished that, we bought her a pepperoni and cheese pizza. It was the first time I ever saw her become full. After that, it was off to the veterinarian. It was a great but also hard day, but we could tell that she enjoyed it. Best of luck to you, friend. Enjoy the time you have left with your pup. Story 8. Sorry to hear. Doing the right thing can be difficult sometimes. He's kind of particular about food. Well, get him something he likes. And if he is one of those dogs who can wait their entire life for something delicious to accidentally drop from the human's dinner table, then, Story 9. A girl who trained at my gym used one of those wheelbarrow wagon cart things that you pull kids around in and decorated it with bows and a sign that said, Lila's last ride. She essentially just took her dog everywhere with her in its last couple of days of life. It was so awesome, and everyone came over to pet her pup and show her love and attention in her last days. Good luck, and I'm sorry for your loss. Story 10. Just make sure that when you have to go to the veterinarian, that you go in and stay with him until the very end. There was a veterinarian on here a while ago, talking about how owners sometimes find it too hard to watch or be there, so they leave the room. The veterinarian said that the animal's last minutes are worrying, panicking, and looking around for their owner. They do not know what is going on. Please stay by their side. Story 11. When my Rottweiler had cancer, it was so difficult to get him to eat. We had a Krispy Kreme donuts near us. If you're unfamiliar, whenever they light their neon sign in the window, you can stop in for a free donut. The light was on, so we pulled in to get some free donuts. We asked if they had any donuts. They dropped on the ground because our pup was in the car with us. We explained how sick he was. They brought out a trash bag of donuts. Apparently, they can't sell any that don't look perfect or uniform. He loved those. Also, for every dog we've put down, we feed them bacon on the car ride over. Other than that, I agree with everyone else here. Lots of bed snuggles, warm blankets, carry him or her to the park so they can feel the breeze, the sunshine, and enjoy the smells. It's all about comfort now. My heart is with you. This is such a tough time. By writing this post, I can tell you're a great dog owner. Story 12. I took my dog on a walk in the park, then to get some burgers together on her last day. It was pretty nice. She scarfed two down and then had an accident on the vet's floor. Take some extra pictures and videos of your dog now while you can. Good luck, man. That last vet visit is really tough. Story 13. Just had to put my dog Otis of 10 years down. I got him when he was an 8-week-old pup. Not an easy thing to do. He was my best friend and partner. Unfortunately, he was living at my parents' house in Colorado, and I live in Minnesota, so I had to watch on FaceTime when we said goodbye. It was pretty tough. Be with him and tell him he's the best boy and that you love him. They don't have to live as long as us because they don't need to learn how to love unconditionally like we do. Story 14. Cuddles and cannabidiol. It helped my pet a ton the last couple of weeks before I let him go. Cannabidiol helps with the pain, inflammation, and mental distress that comes with brain tumors. Story 15. To add to what others are suggesting, talk to him when you can. Avoid sad topics or anything like that, as he will sense if you're sad and it will just make him feel bad. Just engage in light or happy conversation. Follow any advice that applies from what others are saying. Also, focus on what you know he likes and give him those things. Take photos of him, you'll love to look back on those. This is so sad. How did you find out he has a brain tumor? Sorry if this is a touchy subject. There's no need to answer. Just wondering as it relates to pets. Story 16. I would arrange some interactions with other dogs, especially if he already knows them. Give him strong doses of cannabidiol to help make him comfortable. Replace the kibble with fatty beef and salmon and anything else he's shown interest in. Take him to familiar places for reminiscing, and finally bathe him, groom him, and give him lots of cuddles and kisses. Take lots of pictures too. Good luck during this trying time. Story 17. When I found out I was losing my friend to cancer, the veterinarian said she could eat whatever she liked for obvious reasons, but that she would have trouble eating, so put stuff in the blender for her. She had been having trouble eating for some time, so my friends and I had a nice farewell festival where she got to eat anything and everything she seemed to enjoy. I think it helped to say goodbye to see her so happy like that. Story 18. You are making his last days great by ensuring he doesn't spend too many of them. You are freeing him from sickness and decline and get to send him off with love. If only it always went this way. Story 19. When my dog had to be put down, we followed many similar recommendations on this thread to make him feel loved and give him the best time. The day before his visit to the vet, I bought and cooked a whole chicken with stuffing, bacon, all the extra trimmings, and gravy. We put it on the floor and let him eat the whole thing as we stood around him and praised him while he was covering his beard in gravy. Funny, his whole life he was scolded for stealing from the table. Then the day before he died, suddenly he had a whole roast to himself. Rest in peace, my dude, you were a good dog. Story 20. Give him all the love and pets you can. Indulge in the little things you maybe didn't allow earlier, like sleeping with you in bed or napping on the sofa. If you'd want and don't already have these, I'd recommend getting him a beautiful collar and getting a friend or yourself to take digital single-lens reflex camera photos of your beloved dog in his favorite spots and doing his favorite things. It would be something you'd cherish later. I'm sorry you have to make this decision. It's extremely difficult, and I can only send my sympathies. Hang in there. Sending you and your darling pet lots of love. Story 21. Look for a veterinarian who will come to your house and do it there. Way less stressful than his last memory going to the veterinarian and being terrified and scared. Falling asleep at home for the final time in his bed or his cozy spot. Sorry for your soon-to-be loss. Story 22. This is heartbreaking and I'm sorry that you're going through this. Give him all the love. Those ear and chin scratches, the butt scratches, belly rubs, all of it. Tell him he's a good boy every single day. He knocked the trash over and carried it all through the house. Good boy. Car rides. Pup cups. Ice cream. Share your food with him, especially if it's something you usually don't do. Let him on the couch. Let him sleep in your bed. But the most important thing is when you take him to the veterinarian, go into the room with him. Do not drop him off and wait in the lobby. Be back there with him. Pet him and talk to him so that he feels as comfortable as he can in the situation. Story 23. Put my dog down yesterday. Spent the day doing his favorite things and just being there for him. Spend all your time with him. Make sure he knows he is loved and appreciated. Story 24. Take a few days off and patrol the couch together. Buy a new game or start a new series, whatever keeps you sitting where your dog can be with you. Take lots of pictures and videos while you can. You'll be so glad you did later on. Also, feed them anything they want that won't harm them. Hamburgers, pizza, ice cream, the works. One of mine passed away very suddenly 2 years ago, and that's how I would have spent a few more good days if we had been lucky enough to have them. Best to you and your dog. Story 25. All the suggestions so far are really good, so I would say you should take as many pictures with him as you can. Picture of the dog, the whole family, with each family member individually. If he is able to go outside and play fetch, I would also do that and record him while doing it. That way you can cherish those last moments really well, and I am certain he would love it as well. Story 26. I would add that if it's possible, have a veterinarian service come to your place to put your dog to sleep. I've had to put one animal to sleep in the veterinarian's office, which was awful. Sterile. Cold. Alone. I decided that after that, I would hire a mobile veterinarian service that only does home hospice care. I live in a large metropolitan area where this is available. The experience was better for her, better for me, and the veterinarian took care of everything, including taking away her body. I picked up the ashes a few weeks later. Once you decide a day, then you have a countdown to make things good for your dog. You'll have to steel yourself. Try to have a friend or loved one around you. Be good to yourself as you grieve before, during, and after. Wishing you the best. Story 27. I took a couple of days off to hang out with him. I took him over to some family members' houses that had dogs he liked to play with. And I bought him the fancy foods that he couldn't eat for the previous year because of his continually worsening kidneys. He really hated the low-protein veterinary food. Taking him to play with my brother's dogs was the most eye-opening, because he got out of his bed and actually tried to play with the other dogs a bit. It was then that I realized it had been weeks since the last time I saw him wag his tail. I waited too long to take him in because I was selfish about letting him go, and I was completely overwhelmed with the responsibility of the decision I had to make. I really didn't know what I was doing. Story 28. When I was a groomer, I had this very senior Labrador come in for grooming. This poor baby could barely lift her leg for me to trim her nails. I asked why the owner had us doing such an extensive groom on her instead of just letting us bathe her and trim her nails. They said she had an appointment after us to be brought next door to the veterinarian to be put down. The owner wasn't even going to see this baby to say goodbye. So, I said forget the groom, gave her a blanket, and let her lay next to my station. On my lunch, I got her 2 big cheeseburgers and laid with her while she ate them. I think just time and maybe a great snack is the ultimate send-off if your baby can't move very well. It's how I would want to go. Story 29. My Jack Russell sandwich was put down a few weeks ago. I had him for 12 years. On that day, I took him to the riverfront park and carried him around in a blanket for a few hours. I was sobbing softly most of the time and just talking to him. We looked at the water. I could tell that he wanted to chase the ducks but just didn't have the energy. So I got as close as I could. I could feel his nubby tail wagging gently in the blanket. I just spent time with him. He knew. Story 30. I put my dog of 14 years down today. She got to go to Domino's and help me get pizza. Sat down in the park with my kids and ate pizza. Rolled in the grass, barked at squirrels. It was a good day. She went to sleep at 2:30 this afternoon. I've been crying off and on all day, but she couldn't walk very well. She's pain-free. Story 31. I am so sorry about this. I lost my dog a couple of weeks ago to some brain issues as well. I would honestly just say spend as much time with him as possible doing what you know he loves. I think mostly this is going to help you with closure more than it is going to help him, as he most likely does not really know what is going on. So just things like long walks, car rides, naps, maybe going to the dog park, sharing food, and lots of cuddles is the best you can do. I am sure he will be happy either way just spending time with you. Story 32. Absolutely make it count. One day my boy Lobo was getting kind of dirty, and I was going to give him a bath. The next day I was holding his paw and felt him go limp while sobbing and telling him, "I'm sorry," over and over. Life is precious and should be cherished while it's still here. Story 33. Damn it. I didn't even get into the third comment before my eyes started tearing up. Give him everything. Tell him he's a good boy. Love him. Give him a nice warm rag bath, watch a movie with him, and if he likes popcorn, eat it together. Tell him you are there for him and tell him everything you want him to know. When I had to put down my best friend, we wrapped her in her favorite blanket and made a headstone for her out of a concrete mix we found at Michael's. I put her name in it along with her favorite toy and her chain and her old police dog tags. We laid her down and we all just said our last goodbyes. I'm so sorry about your doggy. I'm praying for you. All dogs go to heaven. Story 34. Side note. When the time comes, be present in the room. Supposedly, those few minutes can be worrisome for your pet, especially when there is no familiar face in the room. Also, see if your veterinarian is willing to do a house call. Story 35. I had to put down one of my dogs last month. Likely cancer. He was very anemic and starting to go downhill fast, and the veterinarian ran a blood test and pretty much recommended we alleviate any further suffering. His last day, he got steak right out of the package, visits from our kids who were otherwise away at college and neighbors, and overall got to do whatever he wanted, including sticking his head out of the car window on the drive to the vet, though it was freezing cold. His last day on Earth I hope to duplicate. I will even take the raw meat,